Okay, good morning. Here we are again. It is crazy morning. So anyway, today we are continuing on with the Millionaire training, the golden principles that created the top network marketers of today. And we are on page 291 of the success story of Dan Stammen. But before we start, we will do our usual stuff. So we start with gratitude. So I am so grateful for I'm grateful that I've got my plates are all done, all that's taken care of. So that's a great thing. It just gives me relief. And I just so grateful for all of that. I'm grateful for my best friend. I'm grateful for I'm grateful for all of my dear friends. So many of my friends right now are struggling in some way or another with either COVID or cancer or some other disease that's going on right now. So please keep my friends, my family, my friends in your prayers, because there's just so much ongoing stuff. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and I believe that miracles happen every day. And I really do believe that that the universe is going to provide. God's going to provide for us what we need. So I'm just so grateful, and I'm grateful for this journey. I'm grateful for everything that I get to do in life. I'm grateful for my boyfriend. I'm grateful for being here in California. I live in gratitude, and honestly, it's an incredible feeling. And next we move on to our daily DMO, to our goals. So my goal is to continue working on my daily DMOs. I've got most of the I's dotted. I just need to, the only thing that I haven't done is the videos. I was trying to redo some of the videos, and for some reason they're not letting me. So I think I'm just going to use what I already have. They'll work. They're close enough. I just wanted to add one more piece to it, but that's okay. So I'm just moving forward and reaching out. And today is my daily Zoom for the quick start training. So I'll be doing that. So I've got to finish up getting that video ready. It's mostly ready. We're getting most of that material ready. I've tweaked it a little because I really wanted to make it feel better. So anyway, let's go on with our morning meditation.
So take a deep breath of life. The Talmud says every blade of grass has an angel leaning over it, whispering, "Grow, grow, grow." That blade of grass will press through cement, seeking the light. And that same pull of becoming is on and in you. It is the spiral pull of becoming that is everywhere present in the universe, for the universe itself is ever seeking fuller, freer, expanded life. And you are part of this wondrous spiral of becoming. Your very DNA is a spiral, and you feel that pull to the more. Learning to work in concert and cooperation with the great laws of the universe. Open doors of possibilities that prior would have seemed completely impossible and only for the few, not you. But now, through your interest, your study, and your willingness, you're beginning to understand that not only is dream building your right, but your responsibility. For you have come here to give the gift of you, without which the fabric of creation is incomplete. For you did not create you. You can't even breathe you. You're being breathed by the great spirit of life itself, and something wonderful is happening with you right now. It is this thing called life. You've been given a mind and a body, emotions, and spirit. You are spirit having a human experience, using the mind and body and emotions as your expressing field for what you ultimately will choose as the demonstration of the life you know. So in this sacred moment, activate the faculties you have. And know this, you are an image maker, made in the image and after the likeness of the one who gives you life. Your mind thinks in pictures.
Okay. So our mind thinks in pictures, and that's why we tell stories. And that's why when we share what we do, we share in a way that helps people understand how to feel into what we're doing, because it just, we're giving them an emotional connection of some kind by showing them pictures. So anyway, let's move on to page 291, the success story of Dan Stammen, the co-owner of World Ventures Holdings. I grew up in a large family with 5 sisters and no brothers. I was the kid in junior high and high school who, when asked to give an oral book report presentations, was too shy and nervous. I either managed to be sick on my day to speak, or took a 0. Even though I disliked speaking in front of people at that age, I was always a budding entrepreneur and did okay in one-on-one situations. The lesson may be find your strength and capitalize on it. So this is true. Some of us do well speaking in large groups. Others do well just one-on-one. Find your strength and go with that. So if you're better in a one-on-one situation, then talk to people one-on-one. Don't put yourself in a situation where you don't. I mean, if you're growing into it, if you're expanding yourself into something new, then that's okay. But don't do something that just value your strengths. Because my parents had no money to give to any of their 6 kids, at age 10, I was selling hard candy at school to have a few dollars in my pocket. After that, I had a paper route for a few years. Then, starting in 9th grade, I had a full-time job working 40 hours a week, stocking shelves and bagging groceries. I'll head straight from school to the grocery store, where I worked for 4 nights a week from 2 to 10, and then all day Saturday. When other kids were home studying or at a baseball practice, I was working. I was kind of that kid. I didn't do it at age 10, but as soon as I was old enough, at 16, I was working, doing that. I worked for the local, it was a large grocery store at the time, but and I worked I started in the cash office. I worked there for quite a while, and then I did bagging and I did other things. So I know exactly what he's talking about. So I met Jeff Roberti for the first time at Boys Club when I was in 5th grade. We went on to become good friends after reconnecting in junior high. The two of us were always plotting ways to get rich. In high school, we both worked at the grocery store, plus we would host parties and charge money to attend. We also worked as security guards, did telemarketing, etc. After high school, we both went to community college and stayed there for a couple of years. However, I was frustrated with school and was always a C student. Things changed for me the day that I walked into the local hardware store. I was working on my Ford Mustang and needed to buy some spray paint for the dashboard that was rusting out. Truth be told, I was also there to ask out the cashier who worked behind the counter. Next thing I know, I'm standing in line and there's a guy next to me named Stan wearing an Herbalife button that said, "Lose weight now, ask me how." I looked at him and said, "What's that button? What are you selling?" He starts telling me 100 miles a minute and replies that he forgot he was even wearing it. His wife had made him put it on before he walked out the door. He explains that he doesn't know much about it, but that it's a new nutrition company in town. He was so excited that he followed me out to my car and to keep chatting. I finally said, "Well, here's my number. Have your wife call me." His wife ends up calling me and invites me to an opportunity meeting at a Holiday Inn hotel in Sarasota, Florida. I attended the presentation and end up meeting several notable people in the Herbalife world at the time, including one average guy with an above average income named Jim Fobar. He told me that prior to joining Herbalife, he was earning $1,000 a month selling mattresses in a furniture store. And now, because of the Herbalife opportunity, he was earning over $13,000 per month after less than 1 year. And he attributed all his success because of of following Larry's duplicatable system. After I signed up to be distributor, I was invited to hear one of the vice presidents of Herbalife come to speak at the Van Wenzel Performing Arts Hall. I was piddling around with Herbalife, but then decided to attend, and I brought my friend, Jeff Roberti, along with me to this big training. Very few experiences in life have measured up to that day of training with Larry. I had never been to a presentation with 600 people in one room. Maybe it was the way Larry taught on stage, but it sent a shockwave through me for whatever reason. Many of the points he made that night were from the Millionaire training tapes. These were simple things, but they made an impact. Statements like, look at your life and see how it's going. For things to get better, you've got to get better. For things to change, you've got to change. Those concepts just spoke to me. The testimonials that night made a significant impact as well. I heard from people like Jeff Schlegel, who was making over $15,000 a month, and multiple others. It got me thinking, these people put on their pants the same way I do. The only difference is they've been in this business longer than Jeff and me. We both took to the idea of having a team of people that possessed more contacts, credibility, money, and knowledge than we had. And we could get these people working for us in order to create leverage in the marketplace. We knew we hit a gold mine. Please know this for a fact, that everyone at Sarasota High School, where Jeff and I went to school, thought Roberti and I were a couple of the two biggest knuckleheads to come out of the class in 1980. So if we were going to make it big in anything, it was going to be a big surprise to everyone. Back to Larry. The same night he talked about the best way to get ahead was to build momentum. He saw his vision from momentum and went to work. I already knew how to work hard. So now it was just a matter of putting on my blinders, getting focused, eliminating any lame excuses, and going after it. I worked for months straight, 7 days a week, sometimes 18 hours a day. I didn't take time off to go to the beach or catch a movie. My goal was just to build, recruit, sponsor, train, and repeat. It's one thing to see an opportunity and a completely different thing to recognize it and be willing to roll up your sleeves and go to work. Jeff and I had hit Herbalife at the right time during their first wave of success. They had just hit 58 million that year, and we got a glimpse of what could happen. We understood that we were leveraging the earning power of many instead of only one person, and ended up with thousands of distributors in 38 states. However, at this time, a lot of my friends and family still doubted me. I can remember a time right before I got to attend Herbalife's International Corporate School in Sydney, Australia, where I was at my parents' house picking up my mail. My 5 sisters, my mom and dad, my uncle Marv were all there. My uncle was the president of 3 banks in Ohio and was making a respectable $63,000 a year in 1985. My dad was making $18,000 a year fixing pumps and motors. My mom is flipping through the mail and tells me something had arrived for me from Herbalife. I ripped open the envelope and it was a check for over $10,000, which I didn't exactly hide from plain sight, being somewhat of a confident young man at that point. My uncle looks at me and says, "Why is the check so big? Did they just pay you once a year?" I go on to inform him, "Nope, that's for this month." And then I said, "I hate to eat and run, but I'm flying over to Sydney in the morning with about 500 of my best friends, so I need to pack." That got my non-believing family members thinking, what the hell? It was moments like that that made me realize I had learned a new skill set, just like Larry always talked about. Larry often taught that in this business, we were getting paid exactly what we're worth. If I wanted to get paid more, I needed to become more valuable to the marketplace. I didn't feel I was bringing much value, yet I had a team selling close to $500,000 a month in nutrition products, which wasn't too bad for a 23-year-old. After learning those skills from Larry, Jeff and I decided to dial things up a notch. We became good at recruiting. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, and you have to consider who would impact your business the most, the guy who manages a grocery store or the guy who's in real estate and has 47 agents selling for him. If I get the real estate guy going part-time, I'm probably going to get more results. So we learned to recruit up, manage our time, and advertise in a big way. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to recruit the store manager because you never know who's going to fire up your business. In addition, I got really good at recruiting top level talent. My philosophy was to recruit the best and they would enroll the rest. At this time, Herbalife had two corporate schools, a basic corporate school and an international corporate school. To attend the basic school, you had to have a loyalty override monthly check of $4,000 or more. At the peak of corporate school, they had about 1,100 people reach those levels. We had a lot of people making good money with this company. Once you qualified, Herbalife would pay you for an airline ticket to fly out to the next big training event, places like Chicago, Monterey, and Atlanta. I learned from Larry that these corporate training events were a great time and place to recruit new people. I would sometimes fly out 2 weeks in advance, simultaneously running ads, hosting 4 to 5 opportunity meetings a day, and training as many people as possible. The thought being was to get all my new enrollments recruiting and to have them bring guests to the big central training because all the corporate school leaders would be speaking. At those meetings, there were usually 2,000 to 4,000 people in attendance, and our sign-up rate would be almost 100% because the testimonials were so powerful, causing everyone to enroll. There was one time at the Air Crown Theater in Chicago where I had 23 guests sitting with me in the front row. After the testimonials, I looked at my guests and said to them with a smile and somewhat in a joking manner, the last thing you ever want to say to a new guest, you don't want to do this at all, do you? At that point, because the meeting went so well, all 23 of them said yes, and the enrollment started. We learned to chase the momentum and go into areas before the big event, before the big meetings, to increase our odds of getting people enrolled in Herbalife. The skills I learned during this time were invaluable, which served us greatly when Herbalife went through their challenges. The FDA and Herbalife had what ended up being unfounded legal battles, which led to the business almost failing. It felt like a planned attack by the news media, FDA, and the Senate. Herbalife sales had been soaring before the investigation. Prior to the investigation, sales went up to roughly $30 million a month to $90 million a month within 6 months. We were helping people get healthy and earn money, and then all of a sudden it felt like we were under attack. My checks from Herbalife peaked out at $18,000 a month and then went back down to $2,000 a month with fairly quickly after the attack. I ended up spending almost all the cash I had in the bank trying to build my business back up. We were continually running ads and talking to people on the phone. I'd get 25 people to agree to appointments, and then CNN or some other network would run a negative story, and I'd have people calling to cancel or just not show up at all. I would manage to get someone to enroll, and they would quit the next day because of too much negative publicity. During the time, I made a big mistake by leaving Herbalife and switching to another company called United Sciences of America. I came up with a long-term plan and was able to have some people who were already planning on leaving Herbalife join my team. I went from 0 enrollees to $15,000 per month in income in a fairly short time frame. But within 9 months, that company had gone under. After that, I bounced around for 6 or 7 years, working for other network marketing businesses. At one point, I even partnered up and owned part of a water filter business called the Entrepreneur Network, but nothing seemed to stick. I was finally able to gain some traction with a consumer electronics company and was able to build a large team over 3.5 years and earned over $2 million. My sponsor that enrolled me was a good friend from Sarasota, a guy I actually introduced to network marketing previously, Mr. Harris Williams. And my number one sales rep by far in the electronics company was no other than Jay Bennett. The one thing I realized was with all the ups and downs is that everything good and bad happens for a reason. Both the good and bad times gave me the experience and the knowledge to grow mentally and emotionally. I learned my most valuable skills from Larry during my time at Herbalife and was able to take them with me everywhere I went and be successful, even if they only for a short time each company was around. I appreciate the fact that I was able to go to a new business and immediately knew exactly what to do, where to go, and what to say to become successful. It's as if you could drop me or any of Larry's top students out of an airplane with a parachute and a backpack, and because of the skills had become innate, we would become successful. Before founding my current enterprise, World Ventures, I would build up my business at Prepaid Legal Services, now Legal Shield, to include 140,000 sales representatives and over 660,000 customers. Eventually, I was able to sell my distributorship to Paul J. Meyer, who is famous for starting the Success Motivation Institute. After selling to Paul, I semi-retired from network marketing, but only for 6 months before my partner, Wayne Nugent, and I launched World Ventures. World Ventures, the premier travel club, has over 4.5 billion in combined revenue and is currently operating in 42 different countries. When I think of the success we've had and the leaders on our team, it's safe to say a lot of them either received their training directly or indirectly from the principles taught by Larry taught years ago. And when I think back even farther in my early Herbalife days and the long-term success they've had, the following story comes to mind. Just last year, I was in New York doing a training with 500 leaders for World Ventures. In the slide presentation, I shared my success long ago at Herbalife. Plus, it went into all the other businesses I had worked with, whereby most of them had gone by the wayside. In regard to Herbalife, and even though they went through those tough years in the late 80s, they still had Larry Thompson's Millionaire training fundamentals. And because of that fact, that enough of their top leadership stayed intact and were able to regain their momentum by applying those fundamentals today, are a $5 billion a year company. Some of my close friends stayed with the company during the tough times and they never gave up. And some of them are now earning between $50,000 and $100,000 and even up to $300,000 per month. And the best part is they've been at those very high pay levels since the mid 1990s. That's called legacy income. It often has me thinking of what would have happened if I had stayed. And as I reflect back, it seems that way too many network marketing beginners or professionals give up on the company way too soon when storms hit. Had I not folded my tent once the big FDA wind came blowing and left Herbalife, I would have only been in one network marketing company with my entire career. Wow. All these experiences have taught me many things, like keeping focused with your blinders on. Most people think that the grass is greener on the other side, when in reality, if they would just water their own damn grass and stay, they'd be better off. Another big one is keeping your ego in check and being a constant student. Once you learn the basics, and then you just need to keep sharpening your axe. In other words, never stop learning, never stop growing. I've kept the concepts I've learned from the Millionaire training with me everywhere I've gone. They are timeless. And the beautiful part is you can teach those same skills to others. Then those teachers become teachers. Over time, you build yourself a nice army that duplicates and turns into a large sales force. When you first start in the network marketing, it's easy to feel defeated and to give up after a few failures. Most people don't understand in the beginning that their success takes time and that everyone has to start from the bottom and work their way up. When you look back on some of the greats, people like Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron, for instance, you have to remember that they have hit the most home runs, but they also struck out the most times as well. Unfortunately, I think a lot of millennials are given too much too soon by their parents. They don't know how to work for what they want. Larry is always saying that if he could bottle up desire, he would be a zillionaire, because it's something you can just put inside someone. It's only when you have a passion for something that you're willing to work for it. It creates a strong work ethic that serves you for life in many areas. For instance, if your son or daughter wants a $30,000 car, have them meet you halfway by matching them dollar for dollar with what they earn themselves. Otherwise, you're setting up your children for a system shock when they hit the real world and start a full-time job. I recently read a book that said 35% of the millennials are getting fired from their first job within 90 days. The number one reason is for repeatedly showing up late. The second reason is from being upset and constantly complaining about not getting a pay raise or a promotion within those first 90 days. I think if the younger generation could begin to find joy in setting big goals, working towards them, and learn to enjoy the journey, that they would be much happier and greatly rewarded. As you make your journey towards personal growth, you learn to realize that the joy is in the process, not the destination. Looking back on my success, owning several homes and businesses is great, but the real fortune comes from personal development and growth. I've gotten to meet wonderful people along the way, and I have fun while doing it. There's a satisfaction in working hard, making mistakes, and learning from those experiences. Having been in this business for over 37 years, I still listen to Larry's the Millionaire training tapes time and time again. I often keep them in the background as I go about my day while doing simple tasks. I love it, though, all because it's almost like going back to my childhood. It feels good listening to it, and there's a comforting familiarity, like talking with an old friend. But even though it's so familiar to me, I still take away new insights every time I listen. It's like watching a movie for the second time, where there's always something you're going to pick up the second time that you didn't catch the first time. I love all of Larry's stories, but one of the best things I learned from Larry was the importance of your voice tone and the voice fluctuation. I copied the way he talked to people, and from that, I learned how to influence people in a positive way. The way he presents is so convincing and positive, and the way he delivered the message with his signature relaxed intensity, you knew he was going somewhere. And if you followed him, you're going to get what you wanted. I was able to learn that skill from him and transfer it to others. Sometimes I'd be in a room with 400 or 500 people delivering a talk or a training, and most everyone at the meeting would take action. If I said, here's the key point, please write this down, there was great comfort to watch most everyone focus their eyes down towards their paper and take copious notes on what I was saying. I learned that from Larry, the magic that draws people to you and makes them want to follow you. It's remarkable to think of all the companies that came out of this core group Larry taught. I could take up to the next 20 pages listing the top sales reps and companies that created tons of billions in revenue because of Larry. He always was delivering concept at corporate school that you could write down, take it to the marketplace, and make money with it. It was the notes I took from Larry that caused me to go out and build my business. Applicable concepts like employing yourself, with the analogy of Larry 1 and Larry 2, or his talk on overcoming procrastination, or my favorite, which is how to overcome all objections with the use of the product and opportunity success stories. All those little things add up to make a huge difference. Larry's teachings became especially invaluable to me after I had become my team's trainer unexpectedly. Jeff and I would participate in the meetings and help guide them, but Jim Favar was our head trainer who would lead our 2 or 4 hour Saturday sessions. He knew how to teach people where to go, what to do, and how to answer all the questions people would throw at us. He had it down to an art, but one day Jim said, I'm out of here, and left us with no trainer. Jeff and I canceled the next training session because we had no idea what we were doing at this point. However, I took Jim's recording from the training session and I listened to it over and over again. I actually wrote down 32 pages, word for word, front and back. I locked myself in my friend's apartment for about 12 days and memorized the training Jim had learned from Larry. And then I got our team together and told them, we're going to have a session like we usually did the next Saturday. I got up and presented this 4-hour training word for word, and after that became the training guy. Jeff was great at recruiting and presenting the products and opportunity, and I was doing most of the Saturday trainings. We had our system down and it worked. Jim levied up. Jim leaving ended up being the best thing to happen to our small team because now I had the magic talk, and my team and I were able to take our business to the next level. This incident forced us all to step up and fill his shoes to keep our business moving forward. One of the biggest takeaways I would give someone in network marketing is to partner up with like-minded people. When I was at prepaid legal services, now Legal Shield, I was able to build 660,000 customers. I started that business initially with a company called the People's Network that was bought by Prepaid Legal. When we started, I only had a team of 5 representatives, including myself. Our team would talk every morning and every night. We shared our trials, tribulations, and successes. We were our own little mastermind group. Within that group, some people were a little better at things than others. Still, if you can develop a nucleus of just 2 or 3 committed people working in the business in your city and learn to specialize in each of your skills, you're going to see more significant achievements than you would on your own. So, and I'm going to stop there because I want to just share a few comments before we wrap up for tonight, but I'm going to do this. So I really want you to think about that when you're building a team, and we're relying on other people, and we all need to rely on other people because it helps us. We can't, if we want to grow exponentially, we need for it to be duplicatable, and for it to be duplicatable, we can't do it all by ourselves. Okay. So with that being said, we need to send people to other trainings and to share the tools that we have. So make sure that you're using the videos and the stuff that's provided from our company or your company, and just make it so that it is really duplicatable, easy. Use talk demo, use the products, talk about the products, and share the results. The visuals to people. It really is easy and it's powerful. The better you get at that, the better your team grows, or you have more customers, and it's really incredible. And it's not about, honestly, for me, it's not about the money. I really do want to help people feel better. I really want to help people look better. I really want to help people be better. So let's go out there and really become the person that we want to be. If I don't know what your desire is. If you want to be a leader, be the leader that you want, right? If you want to be great at sales, be the salesperson that you want to talk to. Whatever it is, go out there and teach about your products, because if you don't teach about your products, you're not going to get people won't resonate. So on that note, I will see you tomorrow. You have a wonderful day.